Hello, everyone, and welcome to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency hiring series. My name is Kate Fox, and I'm a human resource staffing specialist here at the EPA located in Research Triangle Park. In this hiring series tutorial, we're going to go through employment opportunities for students and recent graduates. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so EPA is a little bit smaller of a federal agency. We have about 14,000 employees, and over half of our employees are engineers, scientists, or environmental protection specialists. But the agency also hosts a number of other professions. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment here. A lot of people, when they think about EPA or the federal government, they automatically assume that all of our work is done in DC, but that's actually not the case. While our largest office is in Washington, DC, with over 4,500 employees, additional offices are across 10 locations, all the way from Hawaii to New York, Guam to Puerto Rico, etc. So there's really a number of opportunities for anyone interested in working in various locations. It's also important that when we talk about the land on which we work, we acknowledge that this land was originally inhabited by and cared for by Native populations. And if you're interested in learning more about what the agency does to protect those populations and decrease environmental burdens on Native and other vulnerable populations, I do encourage you to visit epa.gov and search environmental justice. It's something really important to the work that we do here. All right, so I promised that we'd talk about all the different kinds of positions available at the EPA. So let's dive into that a little bit. As you can see, we host a number of opportunities for people with backgrounds in engineering, chemistry, physical sciences, IT, toxicology, all those things that you might think of when you think about environmental protection. However, the EPA relies so heavily on other fields to really support that mission critical work. So some of those examples would be people with specialties in financial analysis, public affairs, human resources like me, administration, facilities management, and even more. Really, no matter what your background is, there's probably an opportunity for you somewhere at the EPA or in the federal government. A really fun example that demonstrates the diversity of our work here is that in 1974, EPA teamed up with General Mills Cereal Company to put EPA-created books in cereal boxes to promote environmental education for children and the general public. I cannot imagine how much fun that job would be. Okay, so now that you've learned a little bit about the EPA as an agency and the work that we do here, you might be wondering, how do I find a job? So as a student or a recent alumni, you are eligible for what we call the Pathways program. So what you're going to look for when you apply on USA Jobs are programs, or excuse me, vacancy announcements and job postings that advertise for student trainee and recent graduate positions. Both of these fall under the Pathways program. As you can imagine, student trainee positions are paid internships at the EPA. They sometimes have not to exceed dates, which means that they're for a term period. For example, a summer internship. Other times these are indefinite timelines, so the student could continue working all the way through their educational path, and they do need to, all student trainees have to be enrolled at least half time while employed as a student. Something really wonderful about these positions is that they can be converted to permanent positions. So it's a really great foot in the door for students who are interested in a long-term career at the EPA, even after they graduate. Speaking of graduation, we also have positions for recent graduates under the Pathways program. So these recent graduate job postings are going to be for students or alumni within 2 years of their latest graduation. There is a grace period for veterans who were prevented from applying due to active duty service. So that's something that you can look into more. There's a 6-year period there in which you can be eligible for recent graduate positions if you're a vet. Otherwise, it's within 2 years of your latest graduation. These can also be converted to permanent positions. So again, really great foot in the door if you're looking for long-term EPA employment. And some positions allow students who are anticipating their graduation within a certain time period to apply. That can be a time period within 3 to 9 months. It just depends on the specific job posting that you're viewing. So we encourage you to really read through that job posting for all the specific information to determine if you're eligible. Aside from our pathways, programs, and positions, everyone's welcome to apply to jobs that are open to the public, in addition to non-competitive appointments if these certain populations apply to you. So non-competitive appointments are not always advertised on USA Jobs, and they're specifically for individuals who are veterans that are eligible for veteran hiring authorities, persons with disabilities who may be eligible for Schedule A appointments, or return Peace Corps volunteers or AmeriCorps Vista volunteers who have recently completed their service. So these aren't as common for most students and alumni. However, we do want to mention them here in case any of those circumstances apply to you. Those kinds of positions are worth looking into. All right. So now you've learned all about how to work for the EPA, what you could do here. Now we really want to keep you on the hook and talk about the wonderful reasons why you might consider working for the EPA. So first of all, there's fascinating opportunities available here. Not only would you be working with colleagues from all different backgrounds across all the different locations in the United States and territories, but you also have the opportunity to participate in extracurricular activities that could include anything from helping host a webinar to doing STEM education at local public schools, or participating as a special emphasis program manager to protect and advocate for vulnerable populations within and outside of the EPA. Additionally, we have an unparalleled work-life balance. So many people choose to have to exercise flexibilities such as telework, compressed work schedules in which you may work longer days to have more days off. We also have a number of federal holidays, like there's 10 federal holidays throughout the year. And it's important to note that during this pandemic, everyone's been working remotely for the most part, and the EPA has really exercised a lot of flexibilities and support for individuals who have struggled with virtual schooling and or childcare. They've made it manageable to still be productive at work and maintain those types of things in your personal life. So we take a lot of pride in that. Additionally, there is a deep connection to the work that we do here. So as you can imagine, when the literal mission of the agency is protecting human health and the environment, everyone pretty much feels passionately about that. One example of how our work is very relevant to our communities today is the work that EPA employees and scientists did regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. So by October of 2020, the scientists here had not only researched and certified certain surface disinfectants for use in preventing COVID-19, but they had also formatted a sortable and searchable list of more than 500 of those products as a resource for the public to use. So that alone shows you how deep the connection is to the work that we do here and how relevant it is to our world today. Now, what everyone wants to hear about are the competitive salaries and benefits that we offer here. Most EPA employees are paid on what's called the GS pay scale. This pay scale is public information, and if you want to know specifically what the salaries and pay rates are for the different grades of employees, you can find that with a quick Google search of GS pay scale 2021 or whichever year you're searching. We also have a number of really incredible benefits. So we offer a variety of options for health insurance, even including dental and medical insurance. We have various retirement plans. There are life insurance opportunities, health savings accounts, and more benefits that are available to employees here. And finally, the EPA has a commitment to equity, inclusion, and diversity. We do always recognize that there's room to grow and learn in this regard, and we are taking active strides on that journey. Right now, we have an entire program for special emphasis program managers, and those managers work to advocate for and plan events for, really dive into issues, concerns, and celebrations regarding various populations at the EPA who may consider themselves or be considered to be minority or vulnerable populations. And so these populations can include everything from people of color to persons with disabilities to women in science and engineering, and even more. So the purpose of these kinds of programs is to really highlight key issues, celebrate differences, and advocate for positive change in our special emphasis groups. And those are just a few of the wonderful reasons why working for the EPA is something to consider. Okay, so now you've got a total understanding of opportunities that are available to you here at the EPA, both professionally and extracurricularly. I hope that this tutorial has been beneficial for you. We're so excited that you're interested in a potential professional future with the Environmental Protection Agency. For more information, I do encourage you to visit these resources that are listed on the last slide here, and you can also view the hiring series video tutorials that are shared alongside this one on the EPA careers page. Thank you so much for learning with us today, and we do hope you consider applying.